Did you know that video games invented sexism? It's true, absolutely. In 1987, Shigeru Miyamoto created the first video game ever, Super Mario Bros. 2. Okay, I'm sorry. I tried to come up with the stupidest statement I could make, but no, video games and sexism. Name a more iconic duo. Well, I can name many, but tell me, who is this person? You might think she's named Anita Sarkeesian. That's wrong. Her name is the most hated person on the internet circa 2014. But why was this person so hated, so heinous? Because she dared to criticize video games from a feminist perspective. Am I saying that video games are sexist? Far from it. Actually, in 2024, I feel pretty comfortable saying that not only have video games been the least sexist they've ever been, I'd have trouble arguing that video games are sexist now. Like, if I look at every AAA video games that came out in 2023, did any of them had sexist elements in them? I'd struggle to find any. And I feel like I'm trying way too hard to find them. However, let's actually try to answer that question today. Are video games sexist? Do they have sexist elements in them? What we're going to do to try and answer that question is pretty simple. We're going to be taking a look at the top 100 games ever made according to Metacritic, the best scoring games out there, and see what percent of them have a male protagonist. Now, mind you, is there anything wrong with having a male protagonist in a video game? No, of course not. Nothing wrong with that. There is nothing inherently bad about a male protagonist, and there's nothing inherently good about a female protagonist. Where there can be issues is when there's an over-representation of male protagonists. Think of it like in movies. If every villain in a movie is a black guy and every hero in a movie is a white guy, that raises some questions, right? Why are black people always evil in your movies? Maybe we need to reconsider our casting choices. So the problem arises when a large amount of games have a male protagonist. Because we've got female gamers, we've got plenty of female gamers out there. And in theory, the amount of male protagonists should reflect the male gamer population, right? If 90% of gamers are men, it makes sense that 90% of video game characters would be men too. And so what is the actual distribution of gender across gamers? So we can see here a rough tendency. Female gamers have become more common. Right now, 2023, according to Statista, female make about 46% of the gaming population. In 2006, that number was about 38%. So we've moved towards having way more female representation within the gaming community. And that makes sense, right? One of the reasons that video games used to be such a boys' lobby, like when I was a kid, only boys played video games, or mostly boys. That was because that's how they were marketed. And that sounds really silly, back in the days, games and toys had to be in the girl section or the boy section. And they ended up in the boy section, and so they became a boy toy. But there's nothing inherently boyish or mannish about video games. It's a pretty neutral activity. It's like Dungeons and Dragons, role-playing games. That's neutral. There's no reason why that would be more popular with men than with women. So the number fluctuates, okay? 2014, surprisingly, we had almost parity. You know, I really want to give a chance to video games, right? The worst number we've got for the 2000s in here is in 2006, female being 38% and male being 62%, okay? So let's make that an even easier game to win for the argument that no video games aren't sexist. Let's go with 70 male, 30 female, okay? If we take a look at the top 100 games and we see that for every seven male protagonists, we've got 3 female protagonists. Cool. Video games are not sexist. Now, you might say, this is not a good way to establish whether games are sexist or not. You're correct. Yes, that we're doing this for fun. Let's be honest here. We're not establishing any kind of universal truth. It's for fun. And a second argument you can make, since we're going to be taking a look at the top 100 games, but maybe it's the reverse, right? Maybe games are better because we've got male protagonists and there's more of them in the top 100. I think that's kind of a flawed logic. Mainly, I'm very comfortable postulating that games that end up in the top 100 games when it comes to their ratings are more likely to have male protagonists. Because in order for a game to become, very successful, you need to invest a lot of resource and manpower into it. Make sense? So if you invest a lot, you don't want to take any risks, right? So what kind of protagonist is going to be in your game? Well, we're gonna go for a pretty safe protagonist, right? We don't want something too crazy that will push people away. Which is why, for instance, especially in the 2000s, well, you had Marcus Phoenix, white dude with a beard and a little hat. Commander Shepard, white dude with a beard and a military haircut. Or Isaac Clarke, white dude, short brown hair, you get it. Or Ezio from Assassin's Creed 2, white dude, short brown hair. Booker DeWitt, white dude, short brown hair. Nathan Drake, white dude, short brown hair. Cole from Infamous, white dude, short brown hair. Joel from The Last of Us, you get it. That was the norm at the time. And again, it's not because the developers were like racist and sexist, it's because, that's the safest option. So what we end up with? Well, a shit ton of male white protagonists. And again, it's not a bad thing to have a male white with brown hair protagonist. That's totally fine. It's a problem when it's all you get. And mind you, the reason that there's so many white dudes with brown hair, it's because it's assumed that that is what the stereotypical gamer will identify with, right? So that makes sense, but it's not particularly accurate to reality, right? Gender-wise, there's way more women than you think playing video games. There are way more black people than you think. There's way more Hispanic than you think. And while the white dude with brown hair is probably the most common example of a gamer out there, you're missing out on probably 80-75% of the other kind of people. And so we get to the point of this. How many video games do you think will have a female protagonist? Again, today, 46% of gamers are women. And I'm, again, being very charitable and say, if we have 30% female representation, great. We can say that now video games are actually pretty cool when it comes to gender, right? So what we're gonna do, if a game has a male protagonist, 1 point for the boys. If a game has a clear female protagonist, 1 point for the girls. If a game has multiple protagonists, it's neutral. If a game has a create a character option, and that's the main option, it's neutral. If a game is based on actual real people, like Tony Hawk, that's neutral. It's not the video game's fault that skateboarding is male dominated. Same thing with sports. In edge cases, we're gonna try to help out the women. We're gonna try to give points to women when we can if it's very ambiguous. So with that in mind, I want you right now to try and figure out what's gonna be the distribution. Is this gonna be 50-50? 50% of protagonists will be male and 50 will be female? Is it gonna be 30-70? Is it gonna be 10-90? Try and figure out your number right now and see if it matches. Alright, so we might get duplicates or remakes. We're not gonna count them, right? If Ocarina of Time and Ocarina of Time 3D is also, if they're both there, we're only gonna count one as valid. However, games from the same franchise will still count. So, Zelda Ocarina of Time, men. Soul Calibur, neutral. Grand Theft Auto 4, men. Super Mario Galaxy, men. Galaxy 2, duh. Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, still a man. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, neutral. Red Dead Redemption 2, yes. Red Dead Redemption 2, still a man. Grand Theft Auto 5, 3 men. Metroid Prime, our first women. It's not going well so far. GTA 3, man. Mario Odyssey, man. Halo 1, man. NFL 2K1, that's weird to me that it's on this list but neutral. Half-Life 2, man. Bioshock 1, still a man. GoldenEye 007, we can consider that neutral. It's based on a movie, it's not the game's fault. Uncharted 2, man. Resident Evil 4, man. Baldur's Gate 3, it's good that it's on this list. Neutral. The orange box, we're gonna go with neutral on that one, even though most of the protagonists on there are men. Tekken 3, the main character in the story is a man, but the cast is diverse, so it's neutral. Mass Effect 2. Marketing wise, it's always male shepherd, but it's neutral. The house in Fata Morgana, I don't know. At first glance, I thought that was a woman. It's not. Youngest son of the aristocrat, Bollinger family. Damn. Man. Skyrim, neutral. Half-Life 1, man. Elden Ring, neutral. Wind Waker, man. Gran Turismo, car. Tears of the Kingdom, man. Twink, but man. Metal Gear Solid 2, also kind of a twink, but man. It's a Grand Theft Auto collection, we don't count that. Portal, women. Oh, this is Portal 1 and 2. Baldur's Gate 2, neutral. GTA San Andreas hasn't come up yet, man. Vice City, duplicate. Little Big Planet, technically the main character is Sackboy. He's a sack. We're gonna go neutral on that one. This is one of the ambiguous one. We'll go with neutral. Majora's Mask, man. Four Sword Adventure, for little men. Last of Us Part 1, man. Zelda Twilight Princess, man. Madden, neutral doesn't count. Persona 5 Royal, man. Last of Us Remastered, duplicate. Red Dead Redemption 1, man. It's not looking good. Portal 2, there was a Portal collection, but we're gonna count it. Yeah, Portal 1 and Portal 2, we can say that's 2 games, that's totally fine. Final Fantasy 9. Does Zidane have genitals? Probably. God of War 2018, man. Another Tony Hawk, neutral. Devil May Cry 1, man. Madden, neutral. Batman. Let's go with neutral on that one. It's based on a comic book character. Metroid Prime, remastered. Doesn't count. Ocarina of Time 3D, duplicate. Chrono Cross, I think that's a guy. Just making sure I haven't played it through all the way. Madden, neutral. Gears of War, very man. Oblivion, man. Oblivion, create a character, neutral. Sid Meier's Civilization, neutral for sure. Quake, it's a man, but you don't really see him, but yeah, it's still a man. You hear manly grunts. Call of Duty 4, people mostly play them for the single player campaign. John Soap McTavish, didn't know that, man. Bioshock Infinite, why are you there? I hate that game, man. Halo 3, still man. Ninja Gaiden Black, man. Super Mario Bros. 3, man. Grim Fandango, skeleton? Yeah, I was 99%, but yeah, it's a man. Metal Gear Solid 1, still man. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, man. Resident Evil Code Veronica, why is this on this list? It's not the best one. It's neutral, you get both Claire and Chris you play as, neutral. Burnout 3, car, neutral. Diablo, neutral, you get 1 playable female character and 2 male. Metal Gear Solid 3, male. Also has the best example of female sexualization that is not sexist. God of War Ragnarok, man. Modern Warfare 2, just making sure. Oh, Task Force 141, which is multiple men, so man. Metal Gear Solid 4, man. God of War 1, still man. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, neutral, you can choose your main character. Civilization 4, neutral. Virtua Fighter, neutral. Thank you, fighting games. You're helping. Smash Bros, neutral. Company of Heroes, it's an RTS. So no actual main character, neutral. There might be one in the camping mode, I don't know. Gran Turismo 2, it's car, so neutral. Last of Us Part 2, women. Tom Clancy, Splinter Cell, men. Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars, yeah, men. Pac-Man, I'll go with neutral on Pac-Man. Dwarf Fortress, neutral. Half-Life Alyx, women, great. Divinity Original Sin, create a character, neutral. Unreal Tournament, neutral. Braid, man. God of War 2, man. Mario 3D World, neutral, you can play as Peach and Rosalina. StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty, the main character from Wings of Liberty is Jim Raynor, but it's a multi-protagonist story overall, so we'll go with neutral. SSX, neutral. Street Fighter, the main character is Ryu, but it's a cast of characters, so neutral. Persona 4, Golden, not Arena, so men. Persona 5, duplicate. Quake 3, neutral. More Splinter Cell, men. SSX 3, neutral. Homeworld, neutral. Okami, woman. Goddess, yes. And I think we had 6 duplicate, just about, so yeah. It's not a good look, right? So the actual ratio of men to women playing video games is 1 to 0.85. That is, say if you've got 100 male gamers, you've got 85 female gamers. When it comes to game protagonists, based on our top 100, oof. For every 100 games with a male protagonist, you've got about 12 games with a woman protagonist. This means that women are underrepresented in games by a factor of 7. Like, that's a lot. There should be 7 times more women protagonists. I asked you at the beginning, what do you think the distribution is going to be, right? Is it going to be 40-60, 30-70? That's what the ratio is. Basically, 90-10. It's a huge overrepresentation of men as video game protagonists. And I do have to reiterate, nothing wrong with having a game with a male protagonist. Nothing wrong. But you can see the discrepancy. And isn't this wild that even though video games have such an overrepresentation of male protagonists and male heroes, and yet women are still flocking to video games? Mind you, am I saying that Miss Sarkeesian is right and we should listen to her and she's our dummy mommy? No. There's many ways I think she's wrong and she's doing a poor job of getting her points across. But if we want to be honest with ourselves, that kind of difference between actual players and what the games give us is unacceptable. It's insane. You can take a quick look at the top 100 games from 2023 and it paints a completely different picture. So I'm not saying, oh, video games bad. I'm saying we've got way better at it. Yes, video games used to be made with a male perspective in mind. And now, not so much. And that's fantastic.